I'm just gonna start like as you're doing the like and subscribe stuff, just start pointing to random places on my screen so that
Just for
you have to put the boxes there now.
Thanks, Caleb. I appreciate that.
You're listening to the Never Heard of It podcast,
A Night Shift Radio original. Every week we bring you the good,
the bad,
the weird,
and lesser known streaming movies.
Hit subscribe for new episodes every Thursday and Sunday.
I thought for a second that I wasn't ready because I was like stretching. I'm like, oh shit, my arms aren't gonna get back in time.
And claps. Yeah.
I'm starting to smell. I have a sauce cooking.
Oh, you've got a sauce cooking?
So I have a sauce cooking. I started a sauce.
What kind of sauce?
It's a really, really simple red sauce.
Okay.
Like Ellen is experimenting with a new dye as well. That in a lot of ways is very similar to the restrictions I have, although it's hilarious the times that the things like that are best for her and best for me like don't overlap at all. Like the avoid lists don't overlap. It's weird. But anyway, so I'm just making a real simple tomato sauce, some fresh tomatoes, some fresh onion, a little can of tomato paste just to thicken it out a little bit, because when I do just the tomatoes, if there's not enough, it's a really like thin, weak sauce, and
sure,
I don't peel them first, so the skins can get a bit much. I like that sometimes, but the dish that I'm making is going to be sweet potato noodles, so I wanted more of a hearty sauce.
Whereas, like, that makes sense.
Sometimes if I'm doing like a really good like a tortellini or something like that, just like a really light fresh sauce to go along with that, just to add the flavor more so than like the heaviness. Just experimenting. So Ellen has promised to stir it for me while I record.
Oh, good. Yeah. So welcome everyone to our YouTube video where Caleb is gonna show you how to make a sauce.
Oh, I forgot. So it has been 2 minutes and I managed to forget I was recording.
That's spectacular. That is absolutely spectacular.
As you can see, I'm back home. This is
Caleb's back home
in my normal habitat. I don't have any true spook nuggets to add to the next season of Possibly Normal. However, there's one I'll tell here because it's unconfirmed, but it was just kind of funny.
Okay.
Cannabis is fully recreationally legal in the state of Washington, and I took advantage of that one evening, and I took a very long walk around the city, and it was about 10:30 at night. I had just enough time to make it to this brightly lit like Apple store of a dispensary, and I picked up a couple things just to get myself through a couple days before I could fly home, because I didn't want to get on an airplane with a federally controlled substance, even though it is legal in both my departure and arrival points. Like, let's not play that. So I got a couple pre-rolls and I got myself a seltzer because after a couple hours of walking around town, I was thirsty.
Sure.
The seltzer was 30 milligrams, which is a not high, but like pretty high dosage. It's above what I would normally start at. So I sipped that on my walk home, and then I lit up when I was about halfway, and I smoked the entire thing. And then I went to bed, and I think it was like King of the Hill on TV or something like that, which I feel like I don't give enough credit to that show. And I think I think every time I see it, I realize it's better than I think it is.
Yeah.
I feel like I had like some weird preconceptions about it that just don't hold true. So I got to watch the episode where the town of Arlen is flooding, and Hank has to be in charge of whether or not to open the floodgates at the dam.
Nice.
So anyway, I decided I was tired. I was going to go ahead and I was just going to put on a record and put on the new Kississippi record, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I was like, I'm just going to like zone out to this and fall asleep. I ended up staying awake for the whole thing though, because it's really good.
Sure.
But at one point, I was kind of like, I was laying on my side, and I just kind of felt like pressure on the bed next to me, just like a little like someone climbed in the bed. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm not going to engage with that. And then I felt like a little bit of like pressure on my arm, like someone was just gently putting their arm over mine, like I was suddenly being spooned, and I was just like, is that you, Frank? So, it was the Laura and Frank Heffernan room. And I just like, you know what? Nothing bad is happening here. This isn't scary. I don't feel like I'm being attacked. It's actually kind of comforting. So I didn't bother like trying to like reach over or like turn and look or anything. I'm just like, you know what? Either this is a ghost and they're just chill and like just want some company for the night, or I'm just really fucking high and I'm not going to see anything anyway. So like, why not just go with it?
You know, I have a really hard time believing that the majority of ghosts would be malicious. I feel like most of them would be pretty benevolent. They would just, or very indifferent for that matter. Like, I think like, you know, a ghost, they've died, they're lonely, they're trapped in their area. Someone lays down, they're like, I'm going to fucking cuddle. It's been 100 years since I've been able to, I'm going to fucking cuddle this dude because like, I'm lonely and I'm a ghost and I got nothing to do.
It's like the one I talked about in the Spirits of St. Louis episode of Possibly Normal, who like held my hand and tried to guide me into the brewery when we went to see the lights, and how they just like briefly rested their head on my shoulder. That was adorable.
That was great.
That probably wasn't a ghost. That was probably also the weed too. But if it was, that means that I have encountered at least a couple of like, not only like just like benign, but like actively like friendly and like seeking comfort of some sort. And like I think that that's kind of special.
I like that. I like that journey for you. I think that's a pleasing.
After some of the experience I've had, like I want most of my ghost encounters to be like, you know, comforting human interaction like that.
Sure. I mean, speaking of, I guess, malicious ghosts, so Stranger Things season 4.
Oh my goodness.
Has concluded. Now, we're going to tell you right up front, this is going to be a spoiler-filled talk about Stranger Things, which aired about a week ago at this point. So we are going to talk about the ending of Stranger Things, just as a warning. I think that this season started off really strong, ended really strong.
Yes.
But it fell into the Stranger Things formula.
Yes.
And, you know, I'm not the first person, you know, this is not some revelation where, you know, it's going to be like, oh my God, I never noticed it. Like Forbes put out an article about this. I think like BuzzFeed did as well. But we fell into the friend formula, right? So we had Barb, Bob, Billy, Eddie. Mm-hmm. Like, you knew right off the bat. Well, I guess like Barb was the surprise, right?
Yeah.
But then they introduced Bob, and you're like, well, he's fucking dead.
Yep.
And then they introduced Billy, and he's like, he's fucking dead. I mean, he wasn't a friend, but you know what I mean? Like, it was this interesting, you know, it's that upfront, interesting character, make you like them, even though Billy, like, you liked him because he was bad, right? Like, you like him because he's a bad boy, and then he turns evil, and you're like, oh, fuck yeah, he's so cool. And then eventually they kill him, right? He dies. But Eddie,
like, even has, like, the hint of a tragic backstory, too. Like,
yeah, right.
Billy is almost someone who could have been redeemed, and I liked that about him.
Yeah, I mean, he somewhat has like a redeeming moment in the end, but it's so like faded, like fleeting moment. But Eddie, as soon as Eddie walked on the screen, I was like, oh, Eddie is mega fucking dead. Like Eddie is definitely gonna die, and it's kind of annoying because he would have been a really cool character.
Yeah, he was so great. I loved him. The fucking the when he plays the solo.
Oh, when he plays
the roof of the trailer. Oh my God.
He plays Master of Puppets on the fucking show. He's like, this is music. And just, oh, it was so cool. I'm not a Metallica fan, but in that moment, I was like, I would let Eddie play any Metallica song to me ever, and I would not complain once.
It was so good. So good. And
it was so good.
The other kind of formulaic thing that they do, and admittedly, it works in the stories that they're telling. So like, this isn't like shit talking them, but like, there's a whole lot of like, we discover a problem, like one group discovers a problem, and then like slowly a couple other groups will discover, and then they'll like kind of meet in the middle, and then they'll disperse again, and then they'll meet somewhere else and disperse again, and like instead of everyone just kind of being part of this and like solving things together, there's constantly still like they have to keep them like spread out and separated, and like will they make it back together this time, sort of thing, and like
right.
Again, like in order to tell an entire season worth of a story, you have to do shit like that. But I feel like these like every season of Stranger Things could theoretically have been condensed down into like a movie or a much shorter miniseries without all of the like. All right, now everyone everyone break up and like go out your separate ways, and like then we'll meet back again, sort of stuff. Like just the problem, confront it. I haven't decided if that like actually bothers me or not. I don't think it does. I think it's just kind of like, okay, we know this is going to happen, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think the biggest point of that is the whole Russia storyline. Like, obviously, they left season 3 with us seeing Hopper still alive, right? And so like we know that season 4 is going to be getting Hopper back, right? Like, or Hopper coming back to Hawkins. I do think it was really interesting that instead of Hopper coming back to Hawkins, that Winona Ryder, I forgot what her name is, that Joyce and Murray go to Russia instead. I thought that was really cool. But there's two things. So like, one, I think what they were doing with the intent to help others was like really kind of like shit. They're like, oh, there's particles here. Like, we kill these particles here, and then whatever the kids are doing back in Hawkins, this will help them. It was kind of like, okay,
sure,
all right, like, sure, let's go with that, but it felt a little weak. But
we saw a little bit of that with like the whole, like, even at the end of season 3, like, close the gate, it'll kill the monster because it cuts it off from the hole. So like we've seen that there is, like, it is a hive mind of some sort, and it is interconnected. It can like feel and sense like the disparate parts of itself. Okay.
Yeah, like, sure, we're just going to accept that, like, and it's okay. And it's okay to do so. But in all fairness, though, it gave Hopper defeating a Demogorgon with a fucking sword.
Yes.
And
which was so good.
Which made the entire plot line so worth it, just to see him be like, fuck, just fucking cut off his arm and cut off his head. I was like, gee, that's fucking Conan the most over here.
The most metal, like, 5 moments of the entire season made up for any like fluffer filler throughout the rest of it. I feel like those individual moments were so worth it.
Oh yeah. Eddie playing guitar was like, yep.
Hopper with the sword.
Yep. Nancy with the shotgun.
Yeah.
In the end. Like, that was so fucking badass.
When the fucking douchey basketball player like tries to like show how much more powerful he is than her by like grabbing the barrel of her shotgun and be like, you never get up close. And she just, all right. And she fucking saws it off.
Which is just great. And then just fucking goes bonkers into Vecna.
And
great.
An entire generation getting introduced to Kate Bush. So it's like, I didn't know who Kate Bush was before this. So like, I'm part of that group of people. It's like, oh, this song's pretty badass.
Yeah, no, that whole album is really fucking good. It is a really good album.
So I imagine it's been like Stranger Things-ified in some way or another, because when they did Separate Ways by Journey, that was also a little bit like synthed up more so and like kind of darkened for the show. But that was also a badass rendition.
That was a really cool one.
And I feel like this whole crew really understands how to tell retro storytelling without falling into like a nostalgia porn trap. Like as much as like they're fun, Ernest Cline's books are not good because he falls too much into the nostalgia porn trap. I think he's probably a good writer that just leans too heavily on those tropes. The Duffers and the entire crew that they've assembled here has figured out how to do the visuals and the sound and the references all right and make it feel like it's period appropriate rather than period appropriation.
Yeah, no, that's a really good call. They do a really good job. Actually, there was just a story that came out for those of you watching about a week ago, where actually Winona Ryder on set was their 80s, like continuity checkpoint, where she would be like, no, that wasn't a thing in the 80s. Like that didn't happen this year. Like that happened later. So she would go around and like fix things so that they were generationally correct. I think that is cool as fuck.
The other thing that I think was actually kind of hilarious when I realized it, Cara Buono, who plays Karen Wheeler, Mike and Nancy's mom.
Yeah.
She is 10 years older than we are, which makes her technically too old to be Mrs. Wheeler in this movie, but like young enough at the time to have essentially been one of the kids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She would have been the age of all of them. Yeah.
She would have been like, so in this season is in 89, right? Is it, or was it sooner?
I think it's either like 86 or 89. I don't remember, but it's late 80s. So, it's definitely late 80s.
She would have been somewhere between 15 and 18 when this movie was set, which would have been like another like good reference for what this childhood was like. So, like, that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. That is pretty awesome. Yeah, I do like that. I like that they brought back Lucas's sister. Lucas's plot line of like wanting to be a popular jock, like I get it. Like that was a good plot line. And I like the culmination of that where he eventually, beats up the jock and he's like, no, you don't understand. Like I'll do anything I can for Max. R.I.P. Max. Ish. And that was really great. But then it was also really satisfying because that jock like had very like Proud Boy KKK vibes to him. Like they were like teeing up with that like Christian nationalism type thing.
Yeah.
And it was very satisfying to get him to see him ripped apart
unceremoniously, like barely even like not even acknowledged. They show it because it's part of what else is happening, but he's background at that point, and I loved that. Like his death matters nothing.
Nothing. That was so great. It was such a great like yeah, fuck yeah moment. It was so good. I was such a big fan of that. That was very, very exciting. Yeah, one of the big metal moments. One of the other ones that kind of bothered me too is this. We're getting this Ross Rachel moment with Nancy and Steve.
Yeah.
Like everybody knows Nancy and Steve should be together. Now I say everybody isn't like all the viewers know Nancy and Steve should be together. But in universe, everybody knows that Nancy and Steve should be together, and that's what makes it so frustrating. It's because Jonathan's character is so fucking boring.
And honestly, like
boring.
I don't know anything about Charlie Heaton, so I'm not going to speak directly ill of him. But like,
no, it's not him.
I can't stand looking at him. I'm sorry, Charlie Heaton. I really am. Just like,
did you know that Charlie Heaton and the guy that plays Eddie are both British?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
It's the like smoldering squint that I just can't stand. It's not you, man. It's just like I don't look at me, please. I feel like you're judging me in ways that I'm not comfortable with.
It's nothing personal. Just don't look at me. It's your face, but it's not personal.
It's not personal. It's just your face.
Personal. Man. It's just your face. You get it. But that's the thing, like his character is written so like he is just such a wet blanket that really like is. Every time he's on screen I'm just like, oh god, like he wasn't even the most interesting when it was him and like a stoner character who was played by Eduardo Franco,
who is just great.
Who is just great. We reviewed The Binge back when it came out, and Eduardo Franco is in The Binge. And for those of you that watch The Binge and then this, you'll be like, yeah, he pretty much plays the same character. He's also in Booksmart, and he plays the same character in that too. Eduardo Franco is that character in real life. Like I worked with him on The Binge, so like he is just that person, and it's great, and he does it really well. So I'm glad that he's making a business out of it because he is exactly that person.
Well, and like just as much as Jonathan Byers is a wet blanket that like you just want to have go away. Like Steve Harrington is a masterstroke in character development.
Oh
like,
God,
they took
is so
the
good.
Worst guy and like made him someone who like is just so lovable. Like, not even just like, oh, he's likable. Like, no, like, Steve is great. I love Steve.
I think it's funny. We have this moment where Will and Mike are in the car together, and Will is trying to like kind of cheer up Mike, and he's like, no, like, you're the heart of this group. And I was like, this is definitely Steve.
Steve is definitely the heart.
It is 100% Steve is the heart of this group, because Steve is the fucking mom of all those kids, and I love it. And I was kind of sad he didn't really get as much moment to be mom because the other kids are kind of away.
Yeah,
everybody is really split up. Like we have 3 distinct groups, all in completely different areas. Whereas Steve and Lucas and Dustin and Eddie are all in Hawkins. We have Will and Mike and 11 in fucking Nevada somewhere, and then Hopper, Joyce, and Murray in Russia. And that's how it is for the whole movie, like for the whole series. They're all separate apart. But I just think, yeah, Steve's character, I mean, not only is he lovable, but also like you would do anything for Steve.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Like anything. And I think that's great. And it shows, like, even Robin is like, yeah, like, let's fucking go. I'll do anything for Steve.
Oh, I love Robin.
I also love Robin. I'm really glad they didn't kill her off. My predictions going into this season was Robin, Max, and Eddie. and I got 2 out of 3.
I actually thought for a moment that they were going to like final death Hopper this time around, but I feel like they felt bad enough about the fake out that they saved him for at least one more season.
Yeah, here's the thing. They can't kill in season 4. They could not kill Steve, Nancy, Hopper and Joyce, 11, maybe Mike. Like, those are the 6 people that, like, you cannot kill. Mm-hmm. Like, I think they could have gotten away with killing Dustin and made it, like, a really big moment. Mm. But, like, it still would have been rough. But, like, if you killed any of those 6 people I just named, people would stop watching. Mm-hmm. Legit. If you killed Steve before the end of the series, legit, people would be like, I'm not fucking watching season 5. Like, fuck that. Like, same thing. I mean, obviously 11, the story's about her. She can't die. But she's another one of those people, like, you couldn't kill her either until the very end. But I think Jonathan is going to sacrifice himself to save Steve with, like, you got to look out for Nancy. That's a thing that's going to happen.
I could live with that ending for him.
And also my other prediction is Max is dead. She's in a coma right now. She is dead, and she is Vecna. I think Vecna...
He's like inhabited her or
taking over her body. Like, Max is dead, Vecna's taking over Max's body. You might get a Exorcist type moment in season 5, but I think Max is dead. I think it's Vecna now.
I hate it.
Right, but like, it's probably right.
I hate it because I don't think that there's no chance you're right, and that's why I hate it.
It's a double negative, but I'm with you.
Yeah, you follow. And so that actually brings me to the biggest concern that I have so far is that I thought I understood what was happening when they gave the exposition for like Vecna's background for like Henry/1/Vecna's transition from like kind of like 11 in the labs to like being in the Upside Down. But then I completely lost it by the end because it's like, okay, did Vecna going to the other dimension start this whole process, and he like partnered with the power there to like bring about his ends, and so like he's the ultimate villain? Or is he just another step along the way till we find out who actually is pulling the strings? Because it felt like, I mean, yeah, so we get the monsters originally, we get the Demogorgon, and we get a hint of the Mind Flayer pulling the strings from behind the scenes, but you know, had the Demo Dogs. And then we have like the Mind Flayer finds a way to like physically manifest in Hawkins. Okay, so like that entity is running the show. But then we meet Vecna, who's more like the evil wizard, the humanoid who's like seems to be like actively directing things with his will, and we learn that he is somehow joined with this entity in the underground and essentially has a significant amount of power both in that world and ours because of that. But like, is he really it? And if so, then like you're right. Like, he can't be dead if he was the big boss, because like he has to like have some big return that they like defeat him for real. So which means that the stakes, which were already ramped way up in this season, are going to be even higher. And that means that the likelihood of a transference of his essence or whatever into someone like Max is possible, and I fucking hate it. Or that means that they have to introduce an entirely new character for season 5 to say like, it was me all along. And,
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the connection of saying Vecna, that it was Vecna, like the Vecna was the man behind the curtain, the wizard behind the curtain, was like, that's a little shaky. Like, it feels a little retcon-y to me because I didn't connect the dot. Like, they took the whole season kind of explaining it, but I was like, I don't know, man. Like, it doesn't feel like that's what really was happening.
And there's a couple of times that it's kind of implied that he's like trying to find a way back to take revenge on Elle for putting him there.
Sure.
Okay, that's a motivation. I can understand that. But okay, so does that mean that he sent the Demogorgon? Was it supposed to come after her? And was he directing the Mind Flayer to like attack? And it was one of the like a Thanos moment, like, fine, I'll do it myself sort of thing that he decides to.
I feel like it was
because like if he could have just been like sacrificing people and like opening gates all along, then why didn't he just do that? Like, why did he wait 4 years for them to get more confident and more powerful?
Yeah. I completely agree with you. I think that's the only thing about this season that left me kind of like, but like it's a minor, like all the other stuff kind of makes up for it, but like in the grand scheme of the story, it does seem it is a little shaky. I love the idea of one. I love the idea that that 11 sent him there, sent him to this other dimension. Then he's like, oh shit, I'm going to take it over. But still in season 1 maybe, but
the only thing that I can think of as a prediction for season 5 is that because the stakes are ramping up so high so quickly, that the episode in Chicago of season 2, season 3, when Elle goes to Chicago, had to be season 3, right?
I think it was season 3. Yeah,
remember.
because that's where she meets the
episode where she meets the other like grown up lab kids.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, that's such a throwaway episode. It doesn't make any sense. Why is it even there? It's stupid. It doesn't add anything. I think that people's anger is going to be flipped upside down when those kids all come back to team up to help fight the ultimate battle at the end.
God, I really hope so, because I know people really hated that episode, and I understand completely why. I think people are valid for being upset about that episode because it felt like they introduced a huge element of not only Eleven's backstory, but the whole lab and everything, and then just sort of was like, haha, just kidding, let's go not talk about this. It would be great to see, fucking 30 11s standing up and like fighting, a Vecna boss. I think that would be amazing. I hope that that's what we see now that Hawkins has exploded.
Yeah, so,
literally.
Like that's the thing is like we know that like the things are getting like more and more dangerous, and we know that like Vecna can be defeated, but he's obviously more of a match for Elle at this point by herself. More than a match for her at this point. Like she was able to hold her own long enough for them to do harm to him enough to take him out of the commission now. But as like there's no reason to believe that he's beaten right now. So I think you're right that he'll come back, which means that they have to have a superior force in order to like take him out for good, especially because when he comes back, it will most likely be with the full fury of everything he has at his disposal, because now they have this giant gate that will let everything out into Hawkins. So like they have to have this big team, I think, to seal that giant gate and like they're like destroy him or cut him off forever.
Yeah, I mean, so the plot of season 4 is he has to basically kill 4 people or sacrifice 4 people to open the 4 gates, which basically allows him to just pass freely between the two. Technically, he does in fact kill 4 people because they even say Max was clinically dead and then she was brought back to life. So Max was the 4th person. Mm-hmm. He killed her. She's dead. Gates open. 11 brings her back to life, but it doesn't stop the fact that she died. She died on the table and then was brought back to life. So I think that like the whole thing of Hawkins exploding and everything kind of happening, that is saying like, yep, that's it. He did his 4 people. He is free to crawl right out and punch you in the face if he wanted to. It's no longer hiding between dreams. Friday the 13th style, like or Nightmare on Elm Street style. Like it's straight up. Like he is corporeal at this point.
Oh, Robert Englund.
Yeah, who was in this? He was really good. He played his dad, Creedy's
Creel, Victor Creel.
Yeah, Creel, Victor Creel. Yeah, which is such a name that like only Robert Englund could play a character like that.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's a name that you automatically assume is a villain, which is why I love that they had him as a red herring early on.
Yep,
I loved that. That was great.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So there it is. What did you guys think of Stranger Things Season 4? We would love to know. Let us know down in the comments for those of you watching on YouTube. Obviously, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You know the deal. Brand new episodes every Thursday, but brand new full episodes of our podcast every Sunday. So if you want to head over there, we are the Never Heard of It podcast, anywhere you get podcasts. And on this Sunday, we got a brand new film we're talking about called Blasted, which is about a laser tag team fighting aliens, which and it's Norwegian. So is it a good time? Let's find out this Sunday. So you definitely want to tune in and find that out. So, hey, thanks a lot for listening, everyone. For those of you listening still on podcast, don't forget to share with 100,000 of your closest friends.
It's just like this whole operation falls apart if you don't.
It just crumbles to ruins, right? You know, we have families to feed. We have dogs to dress up in outfits. We need those shares.
They need those tiny little sweaters.
So thanks a lot for joining us, everyone, and we will see you next time.